No buts. We got to get rid of the buts or just remove it from your vocabulary. If you're in a leadership role, if you work with other people, by the way, all this stuff applies to you. You don't have to be an official manager sort of role here at the Center for Coaching Leadership. We work with people just like you, and what we do is we help take your work groups, and that's the default status for any time we're at work. We're a part of a work group. We help you take that work group, turn it into a team, which has a very different feel, very different level of productivity, very different way of being. Help you take that work group, turn it into a team, and then we help you coach that team to remarkable results. Get rid of the buts. No more buts. What are we talking about here? I love this. Let's adore and endure each other. Oh man, it's such a great word. Endure, right? Sometimes we have to endure our bosses for a variety of reasons, right? Okay, here's what we're talking about today, getting rid of the buts, and let me set the stage just a little bit for us for this discussion. Here is idea number one, which is the higher your status in the organization, the higher the magnification. The higher up you go in an organization, like if title-wise in the organizational chart, the higher the magnification. So these two are similar. Okay, higher the status, higher the magnification. Meaning our team members are listening and watching very carefully to what we do. And this is just innate within all of us. What are they doing? Thoughtfully and repeatedly. Okay, keys, thoughtfully and repeatedly, meaning it's happening it's something intentional, and it's like going on every day, analyzing words, tone, physical expression, and actions to determine what we really mean. We're always trying to get to the real communication, especially what's coming on from people above us. And why is that? Very simple. It's just a safety and security thing. Am I going to have a job tomorrow? I've got rent to pay, I've got a family, I've got, cars to take care, whatever. Am I going to be okay? Am I okay in this social group? And the way we figure that out is we place very close attention on those leaders above us. Now, if you couple that with this inherent negativity bias, which is that we tend to read things through a negative lens, what that means for us leaders, people who work with other people, right, trying to move other people to action, is that it's really an uphill battle when it comes to communication. It is easy to be caught flat-footed in our communication, and today is an example of that. So here's what we're talking about today, which is getting rid of the buts. And just for demonstration purposes, I broke these sentences up a little bit to make them a little bit easier to see. Here we go. I'm super impressed with your effort on this milestone, but why did we end up submitting it a day late? I can see what you were doing here, right? They're showing you something. I can see what you were doing here, but why did you choose to fill in the blank? Okay, these are just examples, right? Whatever industry you're in, I've got examples that we could use. These are just general. Okay, you hit your sales goal last month, but we did have a higher than average rate of refund requests. Maybe you're describing a tense client situation, or not you, but your team member is describing it to you, right? A tense client or customer interaction. And you're listening and you go, well, yeah, but what did she actually say? Now, what is the function of but in all of these examples here? The function of but is to delete the prior clause. It's a verbal deletion of the prior clause or thought or idea. It's whiteout. If you remember that from the old days, right? You just put a little whiteout up here and get rid of that thought. Okay? So really what's happening, we're deleting these prior clauses here. In this case, we're deleting the whole story that this person was telling us. Our team member was telling us all the stuff that went into that story. We just went like, yeah, whatever, and set it aside. And really the focus of the sentence, this is what makes it a big deal. The focus of the sentence is on the second clause, the second part. What comes after the but is the most important. To who? To our team member? No. To us. It's the most important to us. This is the most important piece to us. Therefore, because we're under intense and higher bits of magnification, it's the most important part to the team member. What we've done when we use the word but many times in sentences is we either delete or we lower the status, right? We bring down the status or the importance of this initial thought, thereby taking away a lot of its power, and we increase the status of the second piece of the conversation. So this piece down here goes up, and this piece up here goes down. Man, that's frustrating, especially if you're a team member, right? Because it's like, hey, you know what I'm doing right here with this part right here, this first clause, that's just me checking the box. What I really care about is where you're screwing up. That's what it sounds like, even if we don't intend it to be that way. Maybe you just start out the whole sentence with that, right? Okay, yeah, but what is this going to cost us? Delete everything that came before. So but X is this verbal delete. And here's the key, folks. I'm sorry to say, because by the way, I've made all these mistakes. I've learned all this firsthand. By trying all this over the years, I'm like, well, what if I just change my tone or my facial or my physical expression? That'll soften it up, right? That'll know that, that I'm not deleting the first idea. And the answer is it never works. You can't be like, well, but like, it doesn't work, right? And you can't say but, like whatever you do, once the word emits, like once we let it come out of our mouth, right? It deletes, no matter what. So here's what I'm going to suggest you try, which is we just eliminate it. And how do we eliminate it? We eliminate it with a period. We replace the comma, then the word but with a period. It's very simple. I was super impressed with your effort on this milestone, but, right? Why did we end up submitting it a day late? Here's what we want to say. If you want to say both of these things, and by the way, you don't have to. You can pick one, you can pick another, or you can choose both. I'm not suggesting that you got to group all negative comments with positive comments, none of that sort of stuff. But if we're going to do it together, I was super impressed with your effort on this milestone, period. Nice job, period. I noticed we submitted it a day late. Tell me more about that. Now we have equalized the status between the two sentiments. We've made them equally important. And the only way we did that was we eliminated the but in between. So I was super impressed with your effort on this milestone. Nice job. I noticed we submitted it a day late. Tell me more about that. Equals, doesn't that just feel different when I say it that way? Okay, let's try it down here. I can see what you're doing here, but why did you choose to? But, why did you choose to? We're going to get rid of this. I can see what you were doing here. Period. Pause. Tell me more about what's behind the choice to fill in the blank. Equalize the sentiments. You hit your sales goal last month. But, man, it drives me crazy. And I do it for fun, but I've heard all these sort of variations. You hit your sales goal last month, period. Good work. This goes a long way. Good work. What do you make of the higher than average returns that we're seeing? What do you make of that? Okay. Maybe you're describing that tense client interaction and you're like, oh, yeah, but is the worst. Yeah, but is like the combo breaker, like really deleting almost everything you've said up until this moment. Not just the last clause, like everything you've said is deleted with a yeah, but. You say, right, because we're gonna start with empathy. We talked about this way more at the Coaching Leader Workshop. By the way, are you coming to the Coaching Leader? It's just a day, right? We go through all this stuff and more, how to do this, how to do that coaching leadership thing. You should join us. I'd love to see you there. Love to meet you. All right. We say, wow, right? Wow. That sounds intense because they're describing this client interaction that was intense. So we just reflect that back to them. Wow, that sounds intense. Help me understand this a bit more. What specifically did she say? Now we're giving, when we say this part, wow, that sounds intense. Now we're validating the story that our team member told us. We're saying to them, without saying to them, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, so now that we've got that, oh my goodness, that sounds intense. Help me understand this a bit more. Now we're going to transition. Help me understand this a bit more. What specifically did she say? Because now we are showing that we are interested. If we say, yeah, but, what did she say? We're just telling you, all this other stuff you said isn't really all that important. Let me just get to the actual words, which I think are important. Okay, so why why do we want to really focus on this piece here, this but piece? Because when we use the word but, we're going to shut people down. It reduces confidence. And remember, we talked about confidence, capability, and capacity, the 3 C's, things that we're trying to improve as coaching. Reduces confidence, reduces trust. That's a big one, right? If you're not listening to me, I don't feel like I can trust you. Ross, it just stinks, when we can't feel like we can't trust him. Really though, over time it helps us get to what I call the good stuff. This is all the stuff underneath the topical problems where the core problems actually lie. If we can get to the good stuff, that's all the real problems underneath the topical, get to that stuff, we have a chance at working through those problems. We increase confidence, capability, and capacity of our team, right? Then we can do ever more and ever better. All right, there you go. What's the takeaway? Well, let me offer you this first. Your goal, I would offer to you, is not let me do this in red here, is not an economy of words. This always reminds me of the productivity one we did a few blogs ago, right? We're talking about treating equal things equally, production per unit of time. I got to be economical with my words. No, it's never that way. It's always about effectiveness. Communication's always about effectiveness. That's first place. Economy, sure, that's important as long as it doesn't hinder the effectiveness piece. I think it's possible to do both. I just want to place emphasis on the effectiveness first. Core takeaway, delete the delete word. Delete this but word from your life, right? At work, at home, with your friends, with yourself, right? Just get rid of it. Separate the thoughts with a period, right? Not a comma. So we're going to separate those thoughts out and make sure that we give equal status, equal weight to both things if we're going to do it. And I did say before, I'm going to leave you with this, I did say before that you don't need to do a positive and a negative. You never need to create the sandwich, right? I don't know if you've heard of that, right? You can simply say, right, what do you make of the higher than average returns? If that's the feedback you have, I would say this though, many of us default to picking out the flaws, and that's fine, right? If there's problems, we want to fix it. But many of us forget, we forget this part, right? Which is equally as important. So I say if we're going to separate them, That's totally fine. Just make sure that we do both of them. Okay, I hope this has been helpful for you. We'll see you next time.